the 4-ingredient Japanese face mask I've used for 30 years, and why I hide it from my clients. You want to know what I have in common with women who spend hundreds of dollars every month on luxury skincare? Absolutely nothing. And I say that as a 63-year-old professional esthetician with over 4 decades of experience, someone who has spent her entire career surrounded by the most expensive creams, serums, and treatments money can buy. I don't use almost any of them, not on my own face. And when you understand why, you might find yourself walking into your bathroom and quietly moving half of what's on your shelf into the trash. My name is Keiko Hayashi. I was born in a coastal Russian city to a Japanese father and a Russian mother. At 21, I moved to Osaka, Japan, trained as a professional esthetician, and eventually opened my own salon, which has been running ever since. Thousands of women have sat in my chair. I have watched what expensive skincare does to a face over time. I have watched what cheap products do. And I have watched what happens when a woman stops chasing labels entirely and returns to something far older, far simpler, and far more effective. Today, I'm going to share the one thing I have kept private for 30 years. Not a product, not a brand, a recipe for ingredients, all available at any grocery store. The same mask I mix in my kitchen 2 to 3 times every week, and have done so without interruption since my early 30s. This mask is the reason my clients ask me, Keiko, what procedures are you doing on yourself? What injections? What treatments? And I smile and say, none. Today, for the first time, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, why every single ingredient works, how to apply it correctly, and the one mistake that 90% of women make that completely destroys the effect of any mask they ever use. But before we get to the recipe, I need to tell you a story, because without this story, the recipe is just a recipe. With it, everything changes. The woman who changed everything I thought I knew. My father was a Japanese engineer. He came to work in Russia, met my mother, a Russian woman with remarkable skin, and stayed. My mother never visited a dermatologist or an esthetician in her life. She washed her face with plain soap. Some evenings, she would apply something she made herself in the kitchen from simple ingredients. That was the entirety of her skincare routine. At 55 years old, her neighbors would stop her on the street and ask, Luda, did you just come back from a health spa? You look incredible. She hadn't gone anywhere. She simply never got in her own way. I didn't understand that at 21. I thought real skincare meant science, laboratories, serums, and elegant glass bottles. I moved to Osaka, completed my certification, and within a few years opened my salon. For the first 5 years, I was obsessed. I bought everything new on the market. I tested every cream, every essence, every treatment on my own face. Retinols, peptides, acids, professional peels. I went through all of it. My clients were satisfied. They came in, paid their money, and left feeling their skin was better. But then I noticed something that genuinely frightened me. The women who visited me most regularly, once a fortnight, once a month without fail, their skin wasn't improving year over year. It was becoming dependent. If they missed 2 or 3 appointments, their faces would seem to collapse. Dryness, dullness, small breakouts. They'd return in a panic. I performed the treatments. Everything would settle, and then the cycle would begin again. I was not healing their skin. I was creating a habit they couldn't break. Then, one afternoon when I was 32, an elderly Japanese woman came into my salon. She was 78 years old. She wasn't there for a treatment. She was simply accompanying her granddaughter. I looked at her face and couldn't look away. She had wrinkles. Yes, of course she did. She was 78. But her skin was alive, firm, deeply hydrated, with a soft glow from within that I had only ever seen on women in their 20s. I couldn't help myself. I walked over and asked, Forgive me, what products do you use? She looked at me, laughed, and said, Dear girl, I am a rice farmer's wife. What products could I possibly use? Something clicked. I thought of my mother, standing in her kitchen in Russia, making something from ordinary ingredients, looking better than my most devoted clients. I started researching. I read old Japanese texts on traditional care. I traveled to rural villages in Niigata Prefecture, the rice-growing heart Japan, where women had worked the fields for over 2,000 years. What I found stopped me completely. These women, who had spent their entire lives outdoors in sun and wind, in hard physical labor, had softer, younger-looking skin on their hands and faces than city women who spent enormous amounts of money on their appearance. The secret was literally in their hands every single day. It was rice, but not just rice. It was how they used it and what they combined it with. That combination refined over generations, is the foundation of what I'm about to share with you. Why most skincare doesn't work, and what Japanese women figured out centuries ago. Before I give you the recipe, I need you to understand one concept. Without it, even the best mask in the world will give you half the results. Ask most women what ages their skin, and they'll say, time, sun, stress, pollution. All true, but none of those is the primary enemy. The real problem is what traditional Japanese skincare practitioners call Hadanotaisha, the skin's renewal cycle. Here is how it works in simple terms. Your skin is a living organ. It constantly renews itself. Old cells die, and new cells rise up from the deeper layers to replace them. At 20, this cycle takes roughly 28 days. By 40, it has slowed to 40 or 45 days. After 55, it can stretch to 60 or even 70 days. What does that mean practically? Dead cells accumulate on the surface. They form an invisible film, a dull, gray layer that most women mistake for dry skin. Because of this layer, your skin cannot breathe properly. Any cream or serum you apply sits on top of that dead layer and never reaches the living tissue beneath. You are, in effect, feeding dead skin. And this is where modern skincare makes its biggest mistake. You're told your skin is dry. Buy a moisturizer. Your complexion is dull. Here's a vitamin C serum. Wrinkles appearing. Try retinol. But the actual problem is never addressed. The skin isn't dry. It's suffocating. It can't renew itself because the channel is blocked. So the woman buys a cream for $40, $60, $100. The first week, there's a visible improvement. A month later, everything has returned exactly to where it was. She concludes the cream wasn't good enough and buys something more expensive. The cycle repeats indefinitely. It's not the cream that's wrong. It's the approach. The rural Japanese women I studied understood this intuitively, long before modern dermatology caught up. They always cleared the surface first, gently, without damaging the skin. Then, and only then, they nourished it. And they nourished it with substances their skin already knew how to absorb. I see the difference in my salon every single week. A woman comes in at 55 with 6 products in her bag. Toner, micellar water, day cream, night cream, eye cream, serum. 6 products. And her skin is exhausted, gray, dehydrated, because she layers product after product every day without ever giving her skin a chance to first breathe. Another woman comes in at 60. She uses one simple thing that gently removes the dead layer, feeds the skin, and lets it function. Her complexion is even. Her skin is soft. That inner glow, the one that no amount of expensive highlighting can replicate, is there. The difference is not money. It is understanding. The mask I'm about to teach you works in exactly this way. It operates on 3 levels simultaneously: gentle renewal, deep nourishment, and restoration of the skin's natural protective barrier. 3 actions in one. No acids that burn. No aggressive chemical. No synthetics. For natural ingredients that work together like a perfectly balanced team. Remove one, and the effectiveness drops by half. Add something unnecessary, and you risk doing harm. I spent years finding this exact balance, and I haven't changed a single thing since. Ingredient 1, brown rice flour. This is the foundation. Without it, this mask does not exist. Not white rice flour. Brown. The difference is enormous, and it matters deeply. When I first visited Niigata Prefecture to research traditional Japanese skincare, the local women told me something I never forgot. Their grandmothers and great-grandmothers never discarded the cloudy water left over after washing rice. They collected it every morning and used it to wash their faces every day, their whole lives. But that was only part of the story. Rice washing water is a gentle daily treatment. For deeper, more concentrated work, the women use the rice flour itself, ground from whole, unpolished brown rice with the bran layer intact. This distinction is critical. White rice is essentially stripped starch. Everything valuable has been removed and processed. Brown rice retains its outer bran layer, and that layer contains 4 things that make this mask extraordinary. First, gamma-resinol. This is a compound found in meaningful concentrations almost nowhere else in nature. Japanese researchers have been studying it since the 1970s. Gamma-resinol is a powerful antioxidant that shields skin cells from damage caused by free radicals, one of the primary drivers of wrinkles and loss of elasticity. But beyond that, it actively suppresses melanin production, those brownish spots that appear on the face and hands as we age. Gamma-resinol works directly against them. Second, ferulic acid. This is a natural UV protective compound. Many expensive sunscreens contain synthetic ferulic acid, something you're paying a great deal of money for. Brown rice flour contains it naturally. It protects against ultraviolet damage and significantly amplifies the action of other antioxidants present in the mask. Think of it as the ingredient that makes everything else work harder. Third, B vitamins B1, B3, and B6. For skin, the B vitamin complex is the foundation of renewal. These vitamins accelerate the skin's natural turnover cycle, the same slowing cycle I described earlier. They gently encourage the skin to shed dead cells more efficiently and generate new ones more quickly, without any irritation. Fourth, texture. Brown rice flour is finely grained, but not perfectly smooth. It acts as a natural, extraordinarily gentle physical exfoliant, not like the harsh scrubs with walnut shells or apricot kernels that create microscopic tears in the skin. Rice flour works like the softest possible brush, removing the dead surface layer gradually, without a single scratch. In Japanese skincare philosophy, this is called Yasashii care, gentle care. The skin is clean without being harmed. This is why brown rice flour alone is already doing the work of 4 separate skincare products: exfoliation, antioxidant protection, skin tone evening, and mild nourishment, all in one ingredient that costs almost nothing. One practical note. Yes, you can grind whole brown rice yourself in a coffee grinder, but homemade grinding will never achieve the fine, uniform consistency of commercially milled flour. For your face, particle uniformity matters. Grains that are too coarse turn gentle exfoliation into abrasion. Use ready-made brown rice flour, if you can find it. It's widely available in health food stores and online. Ingredient 2, powdered milk. This is the one that surprises people. When I first encountered it in the context of skincare, I was skeptical myself. This is a food product, I thought. What does it have to do with the face? But when I examined what powdered milk actually contains, and then use it, I understood. It is one of the most undervalued skincare ingredients in the world. There's a reason that throughout ancient history, from Egypt to Persia to Rome, women used milk on their skin. It wasn't vanity or whim. It was accumulated, practical wisdom about what milk does to human skin. Modern science has since confirmed everything those women intuitively knew. So what makes powdered milk so valuable in this mask? Lactic acid. This is the single most important component. Lactic acid is a natural alpha-hydroxy acid, the same active ingredient used in professional salon peels that cost anywhere from $40 to $100 per session. In powdered milk, lactic acid exists in a gentle, natural concentration. It doesn't burn. It doesn't cause redness or irritation. It works quietly, dissolving the bonds between dead skin cells and allowing them to lift away without force. Here is the key. While brown rice flour removes a dead layer mechanically, like a soft brush sweeping the surface, lactic acid removes it chemically from beneath. 2 completely different mechanisms of exfoliation working simultaneously. The result is something neither ingredient could produce alone. Casein and whey protein. Once the dead surface layer is cleared, your skin is like a clean canvas. It needs nourishment immediately. Milk proteins penetrate the upper layers of skin and provide exactly the building blocks needed for new cell construction. It's like clearing a site of debris and immediately delivering premium construction materials, all in the same action. Calcium and zinc. Calcium strengthens the bond between skin cells, improving firmness and density. Zinc is a natural anti-inflammatory agent. If you have small breakouts, redness, or irritation anywhere on your face, zinc addresses them gently and precisely, without drying or stripping the surrounding skin. Together, brown rice flour and powdered milk form a dual-action clearing system, mechanical and chemical, that is more complete and more gentle than either scrub or peel used alone. Ingredient 3, extra virgin olive oil. I know what you're thinking. Oil on the face, clogged pores, breakouts. I've heard this concern thousands of times, and the answer is always the same. No, no, and no, with one important qualification. What matters is which oil, how much, and in what context. Olive oil is one of the very few oils whose composition closely mirrors the skin's own natural sebum. It is rich in oleic acid, the exact fatty acid that your skin produces itself. As we age, natural sebum production declines. This is a significant reason why skin after 50 becomes drier, thinner, and less elastic. Olive oil replenishes this deficit in a form the body recognizes as its own, which is why it absorbs so well rather than sitting on the surface. Squalene. Olive oil contains natural squalene, one of the most effective moisturizing compounds known to skincare science. It doesn't work on the surface. It works deep within the skin's layers, binding moisture inside the cells and preventing it from evaporating. The squalene in olive oil also has antioxidant properties, complementing the gamma-resinol from the rice flour. Two antioxidants from entirely different sources. Together, they create a dual protective shield. Vitamin E. Olive oil is exceptionally rich in vitamin E, in the form most bioavailable to skin. Vitamin E protects cell membranes from oxidative damage, and beyond that, it accelerates healing. Any small damage, microtears, or marks left by old inflammation, vitamin E works with all of them. In this mask, you use exactly 1 tablespoon of olive oil. That is precisely the right amount. 1 tablespoon will not clog your pores. It will not make your skin feel greasy afterward. What we'll do is create an extremely thin protective film over the surface, allowing all the other active ingredients to work longer and penetrate more deeply. Use extra virgin, cold pressed only. Look for the words extra virgin on the bottle. This is the only form of olive oil that retains its squalene and vitamin E in meaningful concentrations. Refined olive oil has had almost everything valuable processed out of it. It is not a substitute. Ingredient 4, rose water. The fourth ingredient is the binding element, and while its role might sound purely technical, it is far more than that. Rose water is one of the oldest cosmetic preparations in human history. It was used in Japan, in Persia, in India, across the Mediterranean. Wherever roses grew, women discovered that rose water calmed irritated skin, reduced redness, visibly refined pores, and gave a complexion of freshness that was difficult to explain but impossible to miss. In this mask, rose water does 3 things. First, it creates the correct consistency. You add it gradually, a small amount at a time, until the dry and oily components come together into a thick, uniform paste, something like thick sour cream that holds its shape on a spoon and doesn't run. Second, it hydrates. Rose water contains natural plant sugars and trace minerals that provide an additional layer of nourishment as the mask sits on your skin. Third, and this matters more than it sounds, the scent. When you apply this mask and breathe in the faint, clean fragrance of rose, your facial muscles relax, genuinely relax. And relaxed facial muscles mean less tension held in the skin, which means fewer expression lines deepen over time. This is not a minor point. The complete recipe, exact measurement. Use a clean, dry bowl, ceramic or glass, not metal. Metal can interact with some of the active compounds, and we have no reason to introduce that variable. 5 tablespoons brown rice flour, level, not heaped. This is the largest component and forms the base of the paste. 3 tablespoons powdered milk. The 5-to-3 ratio of rice flour to milk powder is a result of years of testing. Too much milk and the paste becomes unpleasantly sticky, difficult to apply, and hard to rinse. Too little, and you lose the benefit of the lactic acid entirely. You have just a rice scrub. 3 tablespoons is a precise balance. Mix the 2 dry ingredients together first, gently, until evenly combined. 1 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil. Pour into the dry mixture and begin combining. The mixture will become clumpy at first. This is normal. Rose water, added gradually. There is no fixed measurement here because humidity, the exact brand of flour, and other factors affect consistency. Add rose water 1 teaspoon at a time, mixing after each addition until you reach a thick paste that holds its shape and does not drip from the spoon. If you accidentally add too much and the mixture becomes runny, add a half tablespoon of rice flour and mix again. Add the water slowly and patiently. This quantity makes enough for 2 to 3 applications. Store the remainder in a sealed glass jar in the refrigerator. How to apply it, and the mistake that ruins everything. Before application, wash your face with warm water, not hot. Hot water dries the skin and dilates blood vessels. Warm water gently opens the pores. Pat dry with a towel. Do not rub. Apply the mask immediately. Application. Use your fingertips. Apply in a gentle, even layer across your forehead, cheeks, chin, and nose. Do not apply near the eyes. The skin there is too thin and sensitive for this formulation. You can and should apply it to your neck and décolletage. The neck ages at the same rate as the face and is frequently overlooked. It shows age first. Timing. Leave the mask on for 10 to 15 minutes. Not 20, not 30, maximum 15. After 15 minutes, the mask begins to dry and contract the skin, which works against everything you're trying to achieve. The 10 to 15-minute window is when all the active components complete their work. What you will feel, for the first 2 or 3 minutes, a very mild, barely noticeable tingling. This is a lactic acid beginning to dissolve the bonds between dead cells. It is normal and is a good sign. If the tingling feels strong or uncomfortable, use slightly less powdered milk next time. The removal step most people skip. After 10 to 15 minutes, do not rinse immediately. Dampen your fingertips and gently splash a small amount of water onto the mask. It will soften and become workable again. Now, with the lightest possible circular movements, massage the mask across your face for 30 to 40 seconds, no more. This activates the physical exfoliation of the rice flour to lift everything the lactic acid has already loosened. This is double exfoliation, happening in sequence. Then rinse thoroughly with warm water, making sure no particles remain. Pat dry. The mistake that 90% of women make. Immediately after removing the mask, they apply a cream, a serum, a toner, something. Please don't. After this mask, apply nothing for 30 minutes. Your skin needs to breathe. The pores are open. The surface is cleared. Let it be. After 30 minutes, if you feel tightness or dryness, a light moisturizer is fine. Often you won't need one. How often and what to expect? Use this mask 2 to 3 times per week. Never every day. The skin needs time between sessions to complete its own renewal. If your skin is sensitive, twice a week. If your skin is normal or oily, 3 times a week. I personally apply it on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I have done so for 30 years and have no intention of changing. After the 3rd or 4th application, you will notice your complexion is more even. Your skin feels smoother to the touch. There is a quality of freshness that is hard to describe but easy to feel. After 1 month, you will look in a mirror and see a different face. Not a stranger's face, your own face, but more alive, more luminous, more like the face you remember. After 3 months, people around you will start asking what you've been doing differently. Why this works when expensive products don't. The answer is simple, and I've spent this entire piece building to it. Expensive skincare products are designed to sell, not to solve. They address symptoms, dryness, dullness, lines, without ever touching the underlying condition. A skin renewal cycle that is slowed and a surface layer of dead cells that blocks everything you apply from reaching the living tissue underneath. This mask does something different. It clears the surface first, gently, with 2 complementary mechanisms that don't damage or irritate. Then, in the same action, it nourishes the newly exposed skin with compounds it already knows how to use. Then it seals and protects, giving the fresh surface time to stabilize. This is what Japanese women in rice farming villages did by instinct for centuries. It's what my mother did in her kitchen without knowing any of the science behind it. It's what that 78-year-old woman with luminous skin had done her entire life without a single expensive product. The skin is not complicated. It wants to be healthy. It will do the work itself if you stop blocking it and start supporting it. For ingredients, 2 to 3 times a week, 30 years of results. That is all there is to it.